And I'm back. I'm live. It's Spence. Hey, welcome to our WP Launchify Friday office hours. Today is an exciting show for me because I'm returning to my roots, as I said, Fridays being more of a hands-on demonstration of the various things that people are doing or what you can do using the components of LaunchKit. Now, yesterday I happened to have been on the WP Tonic show, and it's the monthly roundtable show. And one of the things I mentioned is that over the last 18 years, some of the things about WordPress have been incredible. I mean, beyond my expectations. And some of the things were not as well done as I thought. And rather than being all whiny and complaining, one of the ways that I'm personally involved in trying to solve problems of what's wrong with WordPress in general is through WordPress as a service. And the brand that I'm putting on it is that WP LaunchKit solution. It's a platform that's essentially all the components that you could get in the flea market wrapped up with a hosted optimized site, personal support, unlimited emails, and all the software, everything included. So instead of futzing around going to the flea market and trying to figure things out, it's an incredibly highly leveraged, high value way to get started. But the best part about it is it's really demonstrative of the best of the components of the WordPress ecosystem. One of them happens to be Kadence and Kadence blocks. So if you've not used before, one of the things I want to clarify about what we're doing today is as follows. There's many ways to do checkout. There's many ways to have a My Account area. There's many ways to display content. The ways I'm going to show you today are using the components inside of the LaunchKit platform, which you can get for as little as $97. If you do it this way, you can immediately begin with your solution. In 3 minutes or less, everything is ready to go, including the checkout and the sales funnels, the thank you pages, all the components. And for anybody who's ever struggled with trying to build their own car from parts at the flea market, it's a really, really amazing way to start. Just like, quite frankly, just like starting on any other platform. If you went to a Wix or Weebly, Shopify, Squarespace, Kartra, Kajabi, Salesforce, any of these things, go high level. You don't go buying parts. You just go there and use the platform. Okay, having said that, today what we're going to do is create a custom dashboard with WooCommerce. Now, I want to also explain, if you're not familiar at all with what WooCommerce's capabilities are. Under the hood, WooCommerce is foundational to almost everything you want to do in a modern WordPress website, even if you are not selling a single thing. And the reason for that is that it is such a well-developed plugin. It has such a huge amount of development time and energy, and it provides so many components that are useful to a membership site, a marketing automation site, a private video streaming site, even a business. Doesn't matter that you're taking money. Today, I'm going to demonstrate how using Kadence, WooCommerce, launch flows, a few other little doodads, and some of the things that I've curated into the LaunchKit, WP LaunchKit solution. And when I mean curated into, it doesn't mean that I've spaghetti coded it into some theme or something locked in. Rather, it's a set of components that's always able to be turned on and off through a plugin that adds the capability of using the built-in native Kadence design capacity for doing the following. Let's go over here. I'm going to show you a couple things. I'm going to switch over, by the way. I'm running solo today. And good morning. If anybody who's here wants to say hi, I always like to say hi. Hi. From Spence. I want to distinguish the difference between the WooCommerce My Account area and what I'm showing you as a custom dashboard and how they are built together using this solution. Here I am on a page called Dashboard. You will notice that it is more or different than a typical WooCommerce My Account page. If I wanted to see the WooCommerce My Account, I would click on this tab and I will go to the My Account tab. This is traditionally what is made if you put in the WooCommerce shortcode for My Account. By the way, just so you know, I'm not going to get super geeky, but I am going to go under the hood here and show you exactly step by step how to make this. But I want to give you a sense of what I'm talking about first. So if somebody needs to work on their My Account, we can fully customize using just Kadence all the standard tabs versus the traditional way of doing this, which requires a plugin. The best plugin on the market for that is the YITH. That's the name of the company. YITH plugin, which is the customized WooCommerce My Account. I'm going to show you that on the back end. The problems that I'm having when I'm using the YITH plugin is maybe 3 of them. Number 1, the company itself, fantastic people, Italian company. I met them in person, but they put a lot of stuff into the plugin that takes you outside of the realm of what you're already working on, which is in your dashboard itself with Kadence. And I just figured, why do we need that? Like, we've already got the ability to customize what they have built a plugin to do. So with the help of a little helper plugin that I wrote, we can do everything they can do, but we can do it natively in Kadence. Done. The other problem I have is that part of the reason that I'm making such a carry the flag of how to make WordPress into a service is because some companies do not seem to be going along with the concept that they're not selling software. They're selling services and support and automated updates. And because I am acting as I don't know, the kid in the Emperor's New Clothes story sometimes, I feel like when companies start to do weird stuff with their plugins, I have to say or do something. Now, with YITH, their plugins are outstanding. Their human beings are outstanding. But they've started to do weird stuff when you launch their plugin that puts all kinds of messaging in that blocks your screen and takes you away and tells you bad things are going to happen. And I asked them in public to fix that or not do that, because that puts me in an awkward position of either having to disable those things or just not using or recommending their plugin. So I still like their plugin. I still use it extensively, but this is today an example of how we, for better or worse, don't need the plugin. Now, in a normal My Account area for WooCommerce, if we were to look under the hood here, normally all one needs to do is to simply use the WooCommerce My Account shortcode on any page with Kadence. Here, if we were to look at the bottom of my layout, I've put in a simple row, and I have what you would normally have to display the WooCommerce My Account tabs. In order to customize those tabs, as I just mentioned, you'd either need to write some complicated script or code, which if you're advanced is fine, but nobody wants to be doing that today. Or you'd need a plugin like the YITH plugin. What I'm showing you today is how we can get the best of both worlds by, we leave the WooCommerce My Account shortcode in place. However, what we're going to do is we're going to actually have a scenario here where this entire layout is using just Kadence. And you can see I'm using a row layout, a section, and then they're built-in tabs. Now, the cool thing about this, on top of all the rest of the things I'm describing, is that we have full control, right? So like right out of the box, I'm not going to say this looks good on my display because I'm in preview mode, but I can go on top tabs, side tabs. I can move the order, as you can imagine, of any tab. I can just click and change the names. I can translate it. I can have conditional visibility for when tabs show up. In other words, I kind of get the best of all worlds with this. You get 100% ownership and control of your My Account layout, but you're using tools you've already got that are universally applicable across the entire LaunchKit solution, which is the goal that I'm trying to get to for everybody. Because now you can do things like, I have these free patterns that I'm showing you over at the patterns library. And now anything that you want to do is available to you just by copying the pattern and pasting it in place. So you can build something for yourself. You can build something for your clients. You can take something I've already got, and like a TV dinner that's frozen, you could just keep reusing it again and again with less parts, less complexity, and a universal capability of everything always being up to date and automated. All right, that's the lead in. Let's talk about the user experience first, and then I'm going to work you backwards. One of the things that the WooCommerce My Account page does, which is super, super, super important, is that if somebody is logged out, it is going to act as the thing that logs them back in. It essentially will show them how to get back into the site. And in order to do that, let's see what I'm going to do here. I need to show as if I was logged out. So, well, let's see. I'm just going to do it. I may have to log back in here. Watch what happens when I'm logged out of the demo site. If I go to the, obviously not that page. Whoop, obviously not that page. Let's refresh the page. If I go to the site and I'm essentially on the My Account tab, first of all, I want you to all to see on the right-hand side, top navigation, upper right corner here, notice that I'm not showing the dashboard page. I'm showing the My Account page. And the reason is because I'm logged out. So conditional display of a different tab based upon whether I'm logged in or out. Super easy to do. I'll show you how in a second. Next, what the My Account shortcode for WooCommerce is doing is it's giving me the WooCommerce login form, which, by the way, can be easily customized with all of the tools in the LaunchKit solution so that you could show first name, last name, username, email, password, registration fields, custom. Anything you want to do can be customized because this screen is shown conditionally and automatically when somebody is logged out. So you don't need another special plugin like, theme my login or a special theme. You don't need any of that because it's just a function that's built into WooCommerce and it's so easy to do. Now, watch what happens when I log in. I'm going to log in with me. Excuse me. I'm going to log in with me with the right password. So hold on one second. Oh, as I feared. Hold on one second. I've logged myself out of the own site. Okay, so when I log in, hang in there, kids. This show is live without a net, but don't worry about it. I've got an actual way to get back in. One of the things I'm doing is when I'm working on a demo site, sometimes I actually create a new site, as I did today, and I did not actually give myself a back door to get back in. So let me just grab it real quick. This is a good time for me to actually mention, which is not a bad thing. Inside of each of the sites, you can set, of course, all of the normal usernames and passwords, but we've also got a feature that gives you a magic login. So I'm just going to give myself a magic login real quick to the site, and I'm going to use it here. Okay, so now that I'm back in, as easy as that, let's go to what would be displayed. I try to go to the My Account page. When I'm logged in, notice now that the My Account does not show. It shows dashboard instead. Now, what's interesting about this is that the dashboard is where you can design and use any of the other components that might be interesting to the user experience. So just to walk through, when somebody is not logged in, they see the login page. When they log in, they will be taken with a redirection snippet to the dashboard when I'm not doing this little magic login trick. And in seeing that, now they have their sort of control center of anything you want to design using, you guessed it, the Kadence blocks, right? So if we edit this page, let's take a look under the hood here. And what I love about this is, again, you can make this look like anything you want. But what I tend to do is I make this into an area where I can feature the things that my customers need to pay attention to. For example, here's the user information. Here's the link that will actually take them to the My Account for WooCommerce if they want to do stuff about their orders or their subscription or their payment. Contact button. Log out. If you want to just allow them a place to know where they logged in, they come to here. They log out, they go out from here. If you're offering courses or custom content for training, even, I'm not saying forums per se, but any kind of thing that might be a directory or whatever, you can design this just using the Kadence blocks, but these just link to the particulars where this should be displayed. Now, here's a neat thing at the bottom, and I love this. This is another example of using the short codes or the building blocks that are provided by any of the components. Here inside of the LaunchKit solution, we're using LearnDash at the moment. And so I've used the LearnDash course list block. And in doing so, I can show on the left side the course list of things that I am not enrolled in. And on the right, it's the ones that I am enrolled in. and you'll notice that I'm enrolled in this one. But this is a great way, for example, to have an inducement, a gamification of, hey kids, here's all the things on the left side that you could be enrolled in, that you could purchase, that you could participate in, and here's the ones on the right. And of course, because we're using the universal method, all I need to do is click on this component and then go to the block. And you can see I can change the order, the description. I can say which things are enrolled. Here's the key one, my enrolled only courses. Whereas on this block, show not enrolled courses, right? And I can also do things if I wanted to a certain extent of changing the design and the layout and so forth, right? So depends on what you want to do and which block you're using. But even out of the box, this gives you a really, really interesting way to show a lot of things in a very conditional way without anything really complicated. Here's an option, for example, I can show the content or not show the content. I can show it in a grid or show it in, let's say, this kind of an array sideways. I can adjust the size of things, show the thumbnail. Here's a neat one too. Again, I like this. You could show with a progress bar. And you can also say how many columns you want. So in this case, I would probably just say one column so you can read it a little better. And this is really, really, really neat if you think about it, because all of the elements on this page can use the same conditional display of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. Like show a product if they've not bought it before. Don't show that product if they have. Show something else. Okay. So here, for example, is now, here's the course I'm enrolled in, and it's in one big column. I can just go right back to it. And for the user, it's a great experience because they always know that the dashboard is their home, and they always know if they click on Manage My Account, they come here. All right, now, as promised, because one of the things we talked about was that I'm going to create a custom WooCommerce dashboard with WooCommerce. Let's talk about this part of it, the WooCommerce My Account. Since we're not using the YITH plugin, let's talk about what I had to do to set this up. First of all, in LaunchKit, as a subscriber, you're going to get a helper plugin that will be built into the LaunchKit plugin itself, along with some options. But as of right now, I've just got a plugin here that is, I believe I'm calling the WooCommerce checkout shortcodes. Because I write launch flows as the sales funnels plugin, I have found over the years keeping it simple and light and universal is the way to go. So just like with launch flows, I've made a helper plugin here, and I believe you'll find it if when you go again with your own subscription, hopefully to the LaunchKit solution. It is the WooCommerce. Let's see, what did I name it today? Here, let's see. Here it is. Launch flows LF, because it's going to be embedded into the other thing. Launch flows WooCommerce shortcodes. So if you didn't want to use this feature, you just turn it off. There's no shenanigans. There's no worrying about what happens to Spence if he gets hit by a bus. It's a pretty simple plugin. But what it essentially does is it generates shortcodes for each of the core templates that WooCommerce normally spits out as one big unit. And in doing so, it essentially allows you to control their placement. So let me show you what I mean. We have out of the box with the WooCommerce, the ability for any third party to hook on. But out of the box, the top tab is always your dashboard area. That's where it usually says, hey, person logged in, this is your dashboard. You can do this and this and this and this. Well, now we've got the ability to show that default message, but we can also add inside of this area additional content without having to use a special plugin. My orders is the LF orders shortcode. All we do is place it in there, and whatever template content from WooCommerce will appear there. My subscriptions. So again, like here, if you're subscribing to a product, enrolled in a course, that will output it via a shortcode. Downloads, address, account details, right? Like things that you want to change about besides the address, it would be like your password. Payment methods, really big deal, because we, with launch flows inside of this solution, allow somebody to use their card once and have it be saved automatically without any concern over choosing that. That means that you can allow them to have these automatic purchases with one click. And then finally, like the logout, here I just used a button and I just used the launch flows logout link, as the hyperlink for that. You could also do that in the form of text or a picture or anything. Now, let's do some cool things side by side just to show you this feature, because I think this is actually part and parcel of the dashboard experience. When somebody is doing some of the hardcore stuff with their orders, they need to know what orders I have, what subscriptions, what downloads, what my address information, my account details, my payment methods, my whatever. Let me show you how this now makes it easy to modify stuff without using a third-party plugin. Dashboard. See, this is the default output from WooCommerce if you're normally just using that feature. If I go here into the tab, now all I need to do, and let's open up my design tools. Let's go into the tab and let's add below. And I'm not going to make this into a huge design thing. This is some more stuff I can show here. I'll update it. And when I refresh the page here, now that tab will have the stuff below it. I mean, couldn't be easier, right? I can even do stuff like putting a video in here, right? So add after. If I put in a YouTube video, and let me just grab like a URL of a video that I know about here. Today's presentation. Yeah. Hopefully this won't start playing, we'll see. Ta-da. Okay, let's take a look. It just gives you the ability using Kadence to design amazing stuff. And you can save these as patterns, which makes it even better. And because all these things can be saved as patterns or blocks, look, if I just love the look and feel of this whole thing, I can just save this as a reusable block or as a pattern, whatever they're calling it today at WordPress. I just want to call it a pattern because I'm stuck with that in my head by now. I think they're going to change this now to something else. But just understand, you've got Lego blocks that can be saved in a kit as individual reusable items. And you also, and this is important, you have full control over your font and your colors and so forth. So what I love about Kadence, and I switch everything to this, is I can go hog wild on any of the font sizes or the styles or the typography, all the stuff that you're really familiar with, right? Of course you want to do Comic Sans in here. Why wouldn't you? Why have to use a third-party complicated thing for something this easy, especially since, let's save that, especially since when you do, you can reuse it, you can save it, you can sell it to your clients, which is one of the big things that I teach you, how to build stuff that's reusable. So if you have a client or series of clients who have an interesting thing that they need, build them the custom dashboard with all the features as they want it. You can launch that into their sites automatically in just a copy paste maneuver. And if you're using underneath it the stack of the LaunchKit solution supported by myself, you've got all the things worked out inside of our, let's say, WPLaunchKit.com documentation area, right? So you can find any and all instructions here, individual personal support via email from me included in the price. And you've got the capability of mixing and matching with all the amazing things that go along with WooCommerce, Kadence blocks, and so forth. So if you've been thinking about it, one of the reasons I'm doing these events is to show you, just get started with LaunchKit today. It's 97 bucks. It includes everything. It's a hosted, optimized site on rocket.net. It's my personal unlimited email support. It's all the software. It's set up, ready to use in minutes. You can build anything you want. Okay. Going back to my account. So now that we've got this, here's why I think this is interesting, because at all times, the person can return to their dashboard when they're not dealing with stuff that has to do with their orders or their subscriptions, when it doesn't have to deal with their payment information and so forth. They're really going to focus on stuff here. And I've shown you some examples of other things, but let's talk about like even the billboard area. So if I edit this page, you've got whatever layout you want, but you can put conditional things, you can put sales things, you can make this into a billboard to sell one of your best products. So here, for example, I'm going to show you a couple ways to do it. I've got this right-hand area, and let's close a couple. I've got this right-hand area where it's very attractive gentleman who I may want to do something more salesy, right? So at our coaching help now. Now, why am I doing that? Well, inside of the launch, inside of this particular site that you get with your launch kit, let's open this in a new tab. I've got products created that are ready to use. And in fact, we can see them if we just go to the front and look at the page. I've got a coaching call, paid coaching call. We can use this as an example, or we can end up using, if we wanted, one of the other ones. But let's just use this product as an example. And we'll take it back. Let's use this simple subscription. Okay. So if I'm going to use this simple subscription as a product, all I need to do is I need to get the image and or just get the product to display it. And I'll show you a couple ways that I can do this. The simple way is if I go over into the product itself, I want what's called the direct to checkout link, which is provided in the product by LaunchFlows. Since this is already set up with LaunchFlows, all I need to do is go here, and on the right-hand side, I will see the LaunchFlows checkout link. I'm going to copy that link, and I'm going to go to my dashboard, and here, let's replace this button itself, or we can change the button. Let's just change in our shop to something like get it now. Buy now. Oh, this is a button. So one of the neat things about it is that we can always do something different, right? So for example, if I don't like the style of this button, I'll just go ahead and let's add a new one above. And one of the things I'm going to do, because this screen is a little shrunk down, I'm going to use the top toolbar here. So I'm going to say add before. And now I'm going to just add my new button. I'm always using the advanced buttons of Kadence. So I might do a button like this, buy now. And I like to do the full width. Maybe I'll make it a little fatter. And I'm going to paste in direct to checkout link. I'll delete the old one. Okay. So now I've got get our subscription thing now. I've got a billboard. Let's change the picture of this very handsome gentleman, I suppose. By the way, that's not me. And I can do that in a couple of ways. First of all, as it is right now, I'm using the remote image, the featured image by URL, right? So I could just copy this image address and do it that way. Or I could just upload an image, or I could use even the product image itself. Let me show you both ways. If I go here, this happens to have the row layout as a background, right? So one of the ways I could do it is if I click here, insert from URL, paste in that URL of the remote image, and now it matches. Let's see what this looks like and how it works out of the box, because now it's a billboard that somebody's seeing while they're in your dashboard doing other stuff, right? Obviously, you would describe it, but it's going to take that product and send it directly to the checkout. I've got a question from Arnaud. Do you need WP Launchify to get the mini helper plugin, or is it included in LaunchFlows? Okay, so great question. Here's how it works. I am going to add the checkout shortcode capability to LaunchFlows, the plugin. So if you've been a buyer of LaunchFlows in the past, or you currently have it, you will get that. It's going to come out of my new 5.0, which is going to be a Black Friday release. However, if you subscribe for $97 a month to the whole LaunchKit solution with everything, you get all of this. So you get LaunchFlows, you'll get everything that I'm showing here, and you'll get the demonstrable patterns and the setup and everything else. So you'll get it either way. I am not going to sell this as a separate plugin. Here's why. It seems to me after all these years that there's no benefit of me selling individual trinkets, because everybody ends up with the same problem. If you sold individual Legos or pieces of furniture from IKEA at a flea market, I mean, it might help one person, 2 people, 10 people, but really people need the system. The whole thing is a curated thing, because the WordPress ecosystem and all the plugins, like I was just starting with, change so fast that the real thing I'm selling, let me get real with you guys. The real thing I'm selling everybody is my services and expert advice as a curator. I'm finding all of the things that are happening from the top level of WordPress, interacting with all the makers, including myself, and I'm delivering the WordPress as a service ready to go. $97 a month, take it to go after 1 month, leave anytime, or stay there, including everything, the hosting, the software, and the personal unlimited advice, as well as things like this. If you have clients, it's $60 a month hosted. So you've got the ability to make money even just marking it up on each client. But the point is, that's my best way of doing it. So by putting all of the solutions I curate over time into the one thing, instead of selling them individually, I avoid the things that I found happening in the past, which is I don't want to be in the business of selling trinkets at a flea market. I want to be in the business of like, here's the platform of WordPress like I think it should be. And then you and anyone can ask me any question, and I can guarantee I can give you a full complicated solution as easy as pushing a button, or I can document it in a way that is like any other platform, right? When you go to ClickFunnels, Russell and his team are not selling individual features by themselves. They're selling ClickFunnels. And that's what I want to have, because that's something I know has worked and that I can scale. Back to our show. Okay. So we notice now that that product, Simple Subscription 1, was put into the cart, or the checkout in this case, which is ready to rock and roll. So really, really, really awesome, really, really easy to do, because now every time the person goes to the dashboard, depending on whether they have this or that, we can show them different offers. We can also do something really cool. We could replace this whole thing with a slideshow with a different thing moving. We can do a conditional based upon this or that. Let me show you how that might work out. Okay. So notice in the row layout, I've got the two components in here. I could, if I wanted to, duplicate this, and I can use conditional display of one versus the other. So we're not going to show them both at the same time, but let's say get our simple product. And what I'm doing is I'm showing you how you could have the billboard show different things to different people based upon what they've already bought or what's in the cart. Okay, let's start with in the cart. So simple product 1, I'm going to get the two things I need to change that to look like the other one, right? First thing we need is, let's just grab the direct to checkout link from the product itself. Or if I knew the number of the product, I could just change the number of it, but let's just do the whole thing. So I copy that. And now inside of what I'm building, I'm going to change the button link to that. So I'm going to now have this go to that product. And then let's do also, because I'm using remote images, copy image address. And the reason, if you're asking or wondering, I'm using remote product images because that's one of the things I've also taught people. It's far, far, far more efficient not to dump all of your images and stuff into your site. Instead, whatever service you use, and I happen to use bunny.net, use a service like bunny.net, which means that you could put all of your reusable stuff inside of there. And now when you want to clone your site or back up your site or manage your site or whatever you're doing with it, you've got a library of content that works all over the world, not just in your site, but you don't have to worry about like migrating all that stuff, right? So you can see here, here's like the coaching call image, and here's a new car, and here's whatever. So this is just exemplary of it, but this is how I'm doing it. I'm using remote images in bunny.net. And that way my whole site is like a couple dozen megabytes, instead of what normally happens is that gigantic box of media and content that is in no way data gets really, really heavy. Okay, so here, let's just go ahead and do the same thing we did before with the row layout. We're going to remove the original image, and I'll paste in from the URL the other product. So simple product, new link. Now, how do I make them conditional? Built into the LaunchKit solution are 3 or 4 different ways to do conditional. This way I'm doing conditional, I want to do it based upon some product being in the cart. So for the first product being the subscription, I don't want to show them a billboard if it's already in the cart, right? I mean, kind of makes sense. So we're going to use visibility condition on this block. Notice I've highlighted this block, configure condition. And the condition I'm going to use here was going to be product based. Cart products. And in this case, I'm going to say subscription. Get it to come up here. There we go. So, by the way, sometimes that happens because when I'm using StreamYard, the speed of it checking in on things is a little slower. Normally, this is like instantaneous. So, we're going to look for, is the simple subscription product in the cart? Yes or no? If it is, then we want to hide this. Okay. So, we don't want to show this if they've already put it in the cart. Make sense? Let's do the same thing, but for simple product one. And here again, we're just going to go to the visibility. Kick it into gear there. There it is. It's at the bottom now. We're going to do configure condition. Same idea. Product. And by the way, it's worth mentioning, notice all the things we could do. We could change the billboard based upon the size of the screen, the user meta field values, the post type that they're on, which ID, query strings, like if they have a page that says, and don't show the offer, all these great options. But the one that I use mostly this for would be things like logged in, logged out, or cart products, or cart value. Like, do they have a certain amount of whatever in the cart? So here, we're going to do this little trick to try to kick it into gear like we did before. Sorry, I have to play that game. Okay. Simple product ID 1 block should be hidden. Okay, let's see what happens. Now, before we do it, so we can validate what we've got, let's actually look at our checkout and see if anything is in there right now. Here we've got nothing. Okay, so let's see what would happen in all three conditions. First of all, let's add simple subscription 1 to the checkout. And in doing that, let's now refresh the page and see how this changes. Aha! Did you see that? Because the subscription product's in the cart, the billboard is now going to show me something else, which, by the way, is how we do all the automation, because this is an example of how the visibility is conditional on the cart. But let's say they have already bought that product. Let's say they've already had it. We can also do the similar thing based upon whether they have bought it, because we'll have a tag that memorializes that. I'm going to show you that in a second. But before we do, let's change the checkout and get rid of that. And instead, let's go from our dashboard. And since the product, it's here, simple product, let's add simple product to the checkout. And then we see it's in there, and go back to the dashboard. And I'm crossing my fingers. Yes, success. So you can see how this works for, this isn't permanent. They haven't actually bought it yet. We haven't given them a tag, but boy, oh boy, it's really, really powerful to offer them a billboard and change what's essentially offered based upon what's in the cart, with things that you can memorialize and just use as a pattern again and again and again. Now, how do I do that? Well, remember we did that thing earlier. Here's a row layout. This is a great example of how I would make a pattern or a reusable block. Now, currently they're saying synced or not synced. The difference is synced means if you make this pattern with whatever's in it, you can reuse it over and over and over and over all throughout your site. And any one of those instances, should you change, all of them will change. That's great for things like an email form or a subscribe button or something. But in this case, you wouldn't want it synced. You would say, dashboard, billboard, product, offer, template or pattern. I don't have to put the word, but just so you know what I'm talking about. You save that, and then it would be available now to make 10, 20, 30 different versions of it. And you can even do it dynamically, because again, I've only showed you the manual way to set this up. There's other components that I don't have time for today in Kadence that could just dynamically make a carousel or whatever. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's talk about how can we change this differently. And let's refresh the page so that instead of based upon what's in the cart, it's based upon what somebody bought or had tags for in the CRM. So we're going to go back and let's undo what we did here. So in this particular row layout, we're going to go back over and we're going to configure by removing that condition. So let's remove that. And we're going to remove also that from this row. Delete. Okay. Let's update. Now, let's do the tag-based method. There's a couple different ways to do the tags-based method. One of the ways is using the new plugin, the free plugin called Block Visibility from Nick Diego. Another way of doing it is directly in Kadence, depending on what you're trying to protect. So let me explain the difference. If I was using the plugin, let's go ahead and actually go back to the dashboard. And I'm not sure if I have it installed here. I'm just going to double check because he recently made the premium plugin free, and it's a really neat plugin, Block Visibility, because it does a lot. So one of the things you'll notice too is with the LaunchKit solution, I do not prevent anybody from adding or changing any of the plugins. You own this, you control it, you can back it up, you can share it, you can make snapshots. I want to help you make a powerful and profitable business using the exact same stuff for yourself or your clients. So nothing is locked in a box or modified by me. Okay, I do have the plugin Block Visibility. Here's why this is relevant. With the Block Visibility plugin, it does not work on the row. It works on the stuff in the row. So the reason I wanted to show you that was this. Let me close a couple screens. Close. Okay, so we're back here. Notice if I'm on the row layout, the visibility conditions will work, but visibility conditions does not, I don't believe, does not give us the option of using, let's say, a tag from WP Fusion. The way I would do that with WP Fusion would be with a wrapper. I'm going to first show you with a wrapper, then I'm going to show you with the block visibility. A wrapper is like this. I say add before. Now you can do it one of two ways. If you're using Fluent CRM, I would just use a conditional section, which does the exact same thing. And in some ways it's a little easier because it's just like this simple. So with conditional section, I just make the section and then I say, show this if in selected tag, or the opposite, show if not. Now that means only show this if they do not have a certain tag. And which tag would that be? That would be the purchased, let's say, subscription product, right? So let's say this was the subscription product. Don't show this if they've already got that product. And in order to protect it, I just drag that block into this area. Now the conditional section is applying that rule. If somebody's bought it and we give them the tag from the checkout, they will not see this, etc. Question probably, question is being asked, what happens if you want to use both at the same time? You have to be careful not to use two competing types of protection conditionally at once, but you can use complementary ones. So you could, for example, nest the same behavior about the cart inside of another one that also asks for a tag. But you have to be very careful with your logic that you don't have weird rules that do things unexpected. So it will work, but it will only work as far as your own logic in building it. So don't do crazy stuff if you're not familiar with what your outcomes are. I don't usually mix cart stuff with tag stuffs, other than it absolutely does make sense not to offer a product to somebody if they've already bought it. So in this case, I would probably use the tag method and then secondarily use the in the cart method. Okay, the other way of doing the wrapper is with the WP Fusion wrapper. So add before, and here we just type WP Fusion, and it's the exact same thing. It just looks a little different, which is awesome. It essentially accomplishes exactly the same thing. So you click on the WP Fusion, you'll notice it has two areas, inner and unsecure. I got to talk to Jack about maybe renaming that, but like, it's probably just because the first one, he's using it for a larger context, but the inner one is the thing that if they've got the stuff your condition says, and the other one is for everybody else. Like this is logged in, logged out. Nevertheless, click on the main WP Fusion and then do the same thing. Here's the tag to be the conditional thing. So let's say scheduled coaching call is the tag, or I think I did the other one was purchased product. Now I have to say where or what should be in each of these sections. If the value is true that they have the product, well, then you don't want to show anything. We want to make it blank. If it's false, if they don't have it, that's when we do the very same thing we did before. We're going to drag the row into there, and that way it will only show in the event they don't have the tag. Okay, makes sense. Lastly, let me show you one last thing because it's wrapping up on a time when I don't want to run too long. If I get rid of all of this, let's talk about the block visibility plugin, which has a real possibility as well. What's kind of weird about it, and I don't know, I'll maybe talk to Nick about it, is it doesn't work on any of the layout components. Go figure. It will work on layout components if you turn them into groups, I think. So watch this. So you'll notice we're not seeing it here. And I think that's because Nick probably wrote it to look for standard Gutenberg components. But if we take this and we simply turn it into a group, as weird as that sounds, ta-da! It magically shows up as visibility capability. And so for this, notice he's got all these incredible, amazing options here. Browser and device cookie. It's very similar to visibility conditions, except the ones that are really useful here would be, well, similarly, you got WooCommerce. Let's just take a peek in there. Show the block if, cart contents, product. It's kind of cool. Like, honestly, I can't say one is better than the other, but if you're already familiar with one or the other, just use it. I may end up, quite frankly, I may just end up getting rid of conditional blocks because I put it in originally when there wasn't Nick's product free on the market. In any event, let's go with the idea. It's cool to have some choices, but what I'm going to do here is let's reset the rule. I'm going to just do this way. Okay. And instead, I'm not going to use WooCommerce. I'm going to use WP Fusion. And here we've got now all that great stuff, which WP Fusion normally provides. Required tags, not. So we do not want this to be visible if they purchased a product. Ta-da. So 3 ways to do it. I gave you a real cool trick also about grouping, because I would not use anything other than the Kadence components because of all the other amazing controls and other things they have in them. And when you standardize all of the components inside of the things that you save, now you can use them across the board, just like I show you with the stuff at patterns. Here we've curated all the various things that might be cool. Like, what if I need to do a multi-part price table? Well, this is all just Kadence components with the LaunchKit stuff under the hood. So you could copy and paste this, and this could be your new homepage. I mean, literally, let's just apply this here. So I'm going to go to my site and I'm going to go to what you get out of the box. Instead of taking people to the individual shop page, I could just as simply as this, edit the page. And by the way, this works with any color schemes or other customization. So I'm just going to do that again because I truncated it. Let's just get rid of the words, paste it. And I'd probably set this up as maybe I'd do a full width, but the important thing is I would probably, let's do it normal width. I can customize what shows. Like, I don't think on the homepage I'm going to, show the transparent header and that kind of stuff. And I think I might, unbox it and so forth. And let's take a look at how this looks. So the same idea that I just showed you about how you would now have a sales page with a table, you can go ahead and just add the links to these buttons for those products that would send them right to the cart. Exactly like I showed you a moment ago in the dashboard. That's how launch flows, Kadence, WooCommerce, the marketing automation is all a unified system of WordPress as a service where these are features, but I deliver them to you ready to go in a hosted site. So if you join me, it's 100% money back guarantee. I literally be happy to give you your money back, but nobody has yet asked me for that ever, because you are getting $3,000 worth of curated software delivered by one person in a ready-to-use system with all of the support through me. Many people have come along and used this as a laboratory, then went on and they can get their own licenses, get support from the individual authors. But I want most people to stay with me because I'm providing this really as a service where essentially everything you need and get is through what I'm curating. And I'm working directly with all the authors of these various plugins. They are very well aware of what I'm doing and encourage it, especially Kadence and so forth. Why? Because it removes all of the friction of what's wrong with WordPress. And this is a good time to wrap it up. WordPress is like the most amazing thing on the planet. 18 years later, I cannot believe that I'm involved at this level of it. And yet it is the most dysfunctional way of being offered because it's only available if you go down to the flea market and sift through 70,000 different strangers. And they're all pointing the finger. Look, I got this thing, but their thing's broken and this is broken. And even when you pay the license, they're not going to help you with their business, your business. They're not going to help you with your customers. They're going to help you with just specifically their piece of software, their part. Now, when you go to the Lego store, IKEA store, when you go to a car showroom, you go in there and sure, you could buy parts, but you're really going there to get the solution, the system, the expertise, the feeling like somebody's in charge of this from the top down. And that is my goal in WordPress, because we've arrived at a place that it is so gratifying for somebody to come to me with a complex idea that they've been failing and struggling. And I also, by the way, I'm very happy. I'm proud of this. You can see just in the last couple of weeks, all the people, smart business people who've come in and just essentially had the same experience. Like, I need to share my screen. I realize that. All the smart people who have come in and had this very thing, like Spence. I used to be frustrated. I used to have all these kind of, I look like somebody that had my hands up to my head, like I show at WPLaunchFi, because things in WordPress are so complicated, but it doesn't have to be. I make it really simple, no risk, and it's really a service. It's a curation service, but you do end up getting the software and you get the hosting, and you don't have to think about any of that stuff, like almost like at the line in Disney World, the VIP pass. We pick you up at your hotel in a limo. I take you to the front of all the rides. You can ask any questions you want. And if you need hands-on service, either hourly, block of hours, or a full done for you, super easy for me, super easy for you, because I'm using the same stack of stuff that's always updated, always curated. So no more Frankenstein monsters, no more shiny ball. Stick with the program. Hello to Dr. Carrie Krieger, who is one of our, a good friend as well as a client now for all these years, who is succeeding beyond any of my wildest dreams with his own use of the Launch Kit. He is got his own brand on it. He's at 0 to Webmaster, but essentially he calls it a super site. And I love that. So Carrie has worked out his own variety of these things that come from the Launch Kit and delivering it to his specific types of customers. He happens to be an expert because he runs a 501c3. I'm happy to give him a shout out at Save the Frogs or 0 to Webmaster. That's what my goal is in the WordPress ecosystem, is to make it easier for you individually as a WordPress implementer, or you individually as a business where you want to just have a franchisor-franchisee relationship. I can deliver all those systems ready to go at scale with no problem anymore. And I'm glad you guys attended. This was a fun one for me. I'm going to wrap it up. If you have any questions, you can reach me at WPLaunchify.com or help@WPLaunchify. So if you go here, you can always book a free call with any questions. You can use this component, which is Chatra, that connects directly to my email or text. You can go ahead and just find me on the social media. I'm everywhere at spencerforeman.com. You can also check out lots of our old, all my content over at spencerforeman.com, where I memorialize it all. And I really am happy that you guys made it today. I look forward to more. The Launch Kit platform is succeeding beyond my wildest dreams because I'm finally able to take what used to take dozens of hours of paid time with people and just deliver it as a platform as it should be. And I'm really, really excited about the future for this. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Have a great weekend.